Hello everyone, back to you in today's video. We're going to have a look at within the next 8 to 10 days. In today's video, this takes us to the end of May, so we're going to the 29th of May with this update, which is taking us into the bank holiday weekend, of course. It's very much on a knife edge, as it seems to always be when we approach the bank holiday weekend. It's very much on a knife edge between being quite reasonably good with a lot of high pressure, or that high pressure just going a bit too far north, allowing low pressure to come up from the south, in which case it would be quite a poor bank holiday weekend with a chance of thunderstorms. So I'm going to show you the charts in a second and you'll see why it's such a complicated one. This evening we're actually going to do the third bank holiday weekend update on the spring bank holiday updates page. So we'll have a detailed look this evening at what the GFS is predicting with its midday run. But as I say, really quite a close run thing this year between what's going to happen. So I'll show you the charts in a second. Before I get on with that, just say about the ads. As soon as articles on all the pages, have a browse through widgets and click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in. Thanks very much for doing that. With video ads on most of the pages, they overlap within the content. When you watch them, they'll close back up again. And this does all help to pay for GazWeatherViz.com. So thanks so much for getting involved. And thanks for doing that. We're going to start off with the central temperature from Hadley, just see how things are looking provisionally, up to yesterday, up to the 18th of May. So, well, we currently stand at 12.6, which is quite warm still. It's an anomaly of 1.9 degrees above average. So it has come down a little bit compared to what we were seeing around a week ago when we was above 13 Celsius. But even so, it is turning out to be quite a warm May, and I expect we'll keep the anomaly certainly above average to the end of the month. I don't think there's any way we get a colder than average month for this month. It'll just be a question of how much above average it is, if you like. And I would suspect we'll probably keep around this sort of level for a while. So I would think we're going to be, remember it's a warming month, so it warmed from beginning to end. It does rapidly warm through the month anyway, so the anomaly may shrink, but I suspect we'll stay around this sort of level with the temperature, so somewhere in the 12 Celsius for this May, and it won't probably be an anomaly of around 2 degrees above average. I suspect we'll finish up around a degree or so above average. It is going to be a milder than average month, I'm sure of that, and this should probably ensure that we have a milder than average season for spring as well. So lots to keep an eye on with that over the next couple of weeks. Right, let's have a look at when it's 8-10 days, and we're going to start off with the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts. We've got the ECMWF here on the top, the GFS is on the bottom. We'll have a look at that in a second. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet, is an area in the atmosphere with high pressure and low pressure being moved around by the jet stream running above. Orange and red extrapolates high pressure, blue to low pressure. So you can see why this is so complicated. These are the mean flow charts for 8 to 10 days time. So this takes us to the bank holiday weekend. You see why this is such a complicated one, because it's got a lot of high pressure here, but it's generally to the north. These red and orange colours indicating above average heights, which extrapolates high pressure. It's a very blocked scenario. We've got high pressure extending back in towards Western Russia. We've got high pressure across Scandinavia. That extends to the south of Greenland, and it even extends over towards Canada. If this was winter, this would be a very, very cold scenario with all of this high pressure sitting to the north, because it would force cold air out of the Arctic and down into the mid-latitudes. It's not winter, it's nearly summer, of course, so what this is actually going to do is bring some fairly mild air up, making warm air off the continent. But it just depends how far north this goes, because we've also got this trough sitting down to the south. And this is quite a deep trough. This is trying to bring unsettled conditions up from the southwest. This ridge up to the north is trying to keep us mostly dry. And it really is a bit of a battle, and it's a bit of a nightmare to pin down the exact detail of this. But if this high pressure, if this ridge goes any further north, say if it was to be backed more up towards here, then that would definitely allow this low pressure to move up from the south and the west. As it is, we're just about hanging on to above average heights, particularly for the north of the country. It's less so for the south, but we're just about hanging on to this ridge to the north. So it might not be too bad a bank holiday for the north, but for the south, I would suspect we could have some unsettled conditions. But it is very, very close run thing as to what's going to happen. The GFS is very, very similar, actually. So again, we've got all of this red and orange sitting to the north of the country. We've got this deep trough down to the southwest. So that's trying to bring unsettled conditions up from the south and west. The ridge is trying to keep things mostly dry and settled from the north and the east. So it's battleground UK, and very, very uncertain how this plays out. But my suspicion is that as we get close to Bank Holiday weekend, we will probably start to find this high pressure being trended further north, because it does seem to be getting trended further north day by day. So, well, don't worry yet, but if you've got anything planned for Bank Holiday weekend, do make preparations for the fact there could be some rain, especially down in the south. So the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles next 2 weeks looking like this. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average. See, overall we're going to be above average, so we maintain that warmer than average May, most certainly. I think the anomaly will reduce as we go into the second half of the month. But I think overall we keep the temperatures above average. So we're above average at the moment. We're going to stay that way into the weekend. We'll get this a little cooler spell early next week, and then it's above average again as we go through towards the end of May and even into the start of June. Throughout all of this, there are precipitation spikes coming through, so there's no sign of an extended spell of dry weather. Not too much in the way of rainfall at the moment, but the rain comes back into weekend and into start of next week. And then, of course, we go up to the Bank Holiday weekend, which is this period just here, where we've got all this uncertainty between the ridge to the north and the trough to the south and west. And the idea is still to bring quite a few rainfall spikes through. This is for London, so down in the south. So for down in the south, it looks like we bring quite a few of those rainfall spikes through over the Bank Holiday weekend. Let's have a look at somewhere further north. So have a look at Aberdeen and see how that one is looking for precipitation spikes. You see, there's not as many over the Bank Holiday weekend in Aberdeen as there is in London. So this is telling us that we know we've got the ridge up to the north. We know we've got the trough down to the south and southwest. That probably means the south gets the greatest risk of rain, maybe thunderstorms, over the Bank Holiday weekend, with the north tending to be closer to that ridge and hanging on to drier weather. So the temperature anomaly for the coming week actually showing a little bit cooler than average. I'm quite surprised about that, because the ensemble for the upper atmosphere is consistently above average. So I suspect that as we go through the next day or so, this will trend above average. We've got that little cooler spell coming up early next week, of course. So that's probably why this is being pegged back a bit. But I think overall the trend for the rest of May is going to be a bit above average. So anyway, for the 18th, 22nd of May, this is showing a little bit cooler than average, but caveats apply to that. Precipitation anomaly from the 18th through 26th of May, looking generally around or a little bit above average as well. So the generic charts for GFS looks like this. For Monday, we've got a trough of low pressure over country. That's hanging around from the weekend's unsettled weather. So there'll be showers, maybe longer spells of rain on Monday. Some of those could be thundery. Keep low pressure through into Tuesday as well. That could bring a longer spell of rain through the country. And then more low pressure coming up from the southwest. Look at this on Wednesday. That could bring more heavy rain, persistent rain into Wednesday. Thursday looks unsettled as well, so approaching Bank Holiday weekend, it doesn't look great. There's the high pressure up to the north and the northeast. There's the trough down to the south and the southwest. So that's trying to bring, or it is bringing unsettled weather from the Atlantic. This ridge is trying to bring more settled conditions from the east. Let's extend on, and we go up towards Friday the 27th of May, still with that scenario. Even up to this point, there could be showers being generated between this ridge to the northeast and the low pressure down to the south and the west. Into the Bank Holiday weekend, this is Saturday the 28th of May, this is Sunday the 29th. It's a complicated one. Look at this. We've got the ridge up to the northeast over Scandinavia. It also extends through here and out to here as well, so going towards Canada and back to here up towards Russia. But it's this trough of low pressure, look, over northern France. There's some very warm air being pumped up with that low pressure. You have a look at the upper air temperatures for Sunday, the 29th. You see some very warm areas being entrenched into this. So a bit of a plume pushing up across central parts of Europe with hot air coming out of the Mediterranean. That's sort of fueling this area of low pressure. So that could generate some really quite wet weather, actually, as we go through into the bank holiday weekend, if it gets close enough to the south of the country. And let's have a look at the east MWS. So on Monday, that's showing low pressure around the country, bringing showers along with spells of rain. That's all left over from the unsettled conditions we've got coming up at the weekend. Continues to be showery into Tuesday. Wednesday shows the problem why I've got such a headache for this end of May period. Got this ridging up to the north, up to north of Scotland. It also extends up towards western Russia. It's through Scandinavia. And it's over into Canada as well. But underneath it, we've got these troughs of low pressure, and they're trying to bring unsettled weather up from the southwest, whilst this ridge is trying to keep it settled from the east and the northeast. So if we extend on, we see the battle is maintained between the high pressure up to the southwest, low pressure up to the north and east, I should say, and the low pressure down to the south and the west. And then we get through into the bank holiday weekend. Day 10, so 29th of May. It's very similar to the GFS, so there's still lots of blocking to the north, but it isn't enough to stop this low pressure down to the southwest, impacting particularly southern parts of the country. And again, because the upper air temperatures are really quite warm across the continent, there we are, that could fuel either heavy, persistent, thundery rain, or maybe even thunderstorms. Difficult to say quite what you get with that low pressure, but I assume there'd be a weather front on its northern edge producing quite a lot of persistent thundery rain, and then behind it you would probably bring up warmer air and thunderstorms out of France. It's a very, very complicated pattern that's emerging next week, so we're going to have to monitor this one. It could all finish up with quite a decent bank holiday weekend, because there's a fair amount of warmth coming out of the continent. The high pressure is close, so if those two were to combine, and the high pressure is a little bit stronger and placed a bit further south, we could finish up with really quite a warm, dry, sunny bank holiday weekend. But it's these areas of low pressure just rolling underneath the block that I'm a bit concerned about, because there is a lot of warm energy, as I say, fueling these low pressure systems, and it could all finish up, particularly for the south, as quite a wet, thundery bank holiday weekend. It's certainly an interesting pattern anyway. You do tend to get these sort of complicated, slack, blocked easterly patterns in May. The westerlies are about at their weakest that they are at any point through the year on average now. So you tend to get these sort of patterns. They're always really complicated to work out. We're going to have to wait and see quite how this pans out. But yeah, it's all up in the air, if you pardon the pun, for the bank holiday weekend. And talking of bank holiday weekend, we'll have another update looking in detail at the GFS midday run for the bank holiday this evening, be around 7 o'clock. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.